So yeah, effing Digimon, I guess. Yeah, these were some episodes, I think. Like, I'm pretty sure stuff happened.
I would hope so.
Yeah. At least one thing happened.
We meet Sora's cousin.
Like, do you know what's up with that?
Of course.
Oh boy. So, like, episode 28, so... This sort of start off and there's like, dang it, Myotismon, like, got to the real world. And Jai's just randomly like, hey, you kids should, like, come to my undersea, like, Japanese, like, house building. Where I could just give you all kinds of stuff to help you out and stuff like that.
Digital world, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a goal like Jai's like house, like by taking a staircase down through the ocean. I like that like in the sub, like they specifically mention the steps are very slippery. It's like, okay. It's a bit of an odd detail, but sure. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine.
They're underwater, of course they're slippery.
Yeah. But yeah, they like show up and they all have like a bunch of questions. And it's like, hey, like, who are you? Like, what is this? Why do you keep calling us old man? Like, why do you keep calling us the Digidestined? Which, like, Mimi just shouts. And Guy's just like, hey, easy, I'm old, but I'm not deaf. It's like, nah.
It's like, don't worry about it, man.
But yeah.
Oh my god, what is this picture? What is this awful picture you've got?
It's from the episode.
God, is it?
Yeah. Don't you remember that scene?
I'm not sure you can say it was just because of a terrorist bombing. No, I can't say I do.
Yeah.
I also don't believe you.
Because it's like, they start talking to Jedi and like he introduces them to his fish, which are like supposed to be robots, but in the dub he's just like, oh, there's salt water, I just feed them lots of popcorn. Cause salt water.
Okay.
And there's like, he's just like explains things. He's just like, okay, like here's like the card you need to open the gate. And like, Ty's just like, alright, well, let's like slam these in there. He's like, no, don't, you effing fool. Because like, if you put the cards in wrong, then you're gonna like come out the other side wrong. And he's like, yeah, like imagine if like, Mimi and Paimon went through and they like switched skins or something. And that's where we get this just pleasant effing image.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's so like, why does like Paimon have like the weird like head dangle still?
I don't know.
Like you got like Mimi's body, but like Palmon's arms. Yeah, Jai's. Yeah,
just awful.
Jai's just like, yeah, you could end up in like a completely other world for all we know. Like you can't screw with the stuff. You have to do it right. So he's just like pulls out a map and he just like is like, oh hey, here's where Myotismon is heading. And it's like clearly zooming in on Japan. And he's like, doing his little like Japanese like fan and stuff. And Ty's just like, oh, that's where we live.
So they make reference to Japan.
Yeah. all the stuff about Digicode was completely meaningless.
Yeah.
Because they just,
Did they ever actually say it's Japan?
I don't think they specifically say it's Japan, but they zoom in on, like, the country,
Yeah.
Like, it's very obvious that they're, like, not zooming in on North America.
A stupid kid would look at it and be like, whatever. It's where they're from. Maybe some part of the United States. I don't know.
Yeah,
If they're even aware of what the United States looks like.
that part of the United States that's just like an independent island full of kabuki theater. Yes,
I mean, you say like that would be crazy when Hawaii is part of the United States.
I don't know. I feel like there's not much kabuki in Hawaii. I feel like that's like a fair assumption.
No, but Hawaii has its own type of culture and like whatever.
Yeah,
and
I guess fair enough.
Far away from the actual mainland.
Like, if you were a kid who wasn't paying attention and you didn't know about, like, global maps, even though you're, like, going to, like, school and stuff, then, like, I don't know, like, maybe you wouldn't really, like, think anything of it. But it's still, like, a very weird, like, consequence of all this, like, localization,
Yeah, it's just weird that they're so unwilling to even say they're from Japan.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, they, like, kind of learn about the cards and stuff, and, they're like, oh yeah, there's, like, other worlds and stuff, and we have to make sure we end up in, like, the right one, or else. And yeah, then Guy, like, explains that he's not human. And to this part I noticed, like, oh yeah, like, he does have a bunch of weird, like, wires on his back, doesn't he? So yeah, apparently Genai's just, like, an attribute-less collection of data. So he's, like, he's not a Digimon, he's just a data being, I guess.
He's a Digimon.
No, but they specifically ask him, and he's like, oh, I'm not a Digimon because I don't have an attribute.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure that well, I guess the games are separate, but I'm pretty sure that there are attribute-less Digimon.
Yeah, like, Genai's not like a champion level or anything, he's just like a weird dude.
Well, attributes refer to, like, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure attributes
I
like,
know, I'm just saying, it's like,
okay,
like, he's not like, are the strict, like, classifications of, like, other Digimon, it seems.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Although I'm, like, still curious, like, what the frick even is this guy, then? Cause, like, wait, but how? What? Who? Alright, sure, I guess. Just a kind old man in the digital world who's not a person, but he's there.
It's fine.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like it would have, like, made more sense if they were just like, oh yeah, like, I just came to the digital world years ago, and I just didn't leave or something, Cause, like, they'd be like, oh yeah, why are you, like, hanging out in this, like, weird, like, undersea house and stuff? And it's just like, oh, cause I don't have Digimon, so this is how I stay safe and stuff. Like, it's kind of crazy out there, Like, something along those lines.
I don't know, I think it makes more sense that he's just an element of the digital world.
Yeah. And I
Rather
guess.
than he came to the digital world at random and doesn't have a partner.
Yeah. I guess it depends on how you really look at it, But yeah, it's like, also Johnny just sort of chokes Tai out for a bit. Because he's like, no, just don't just use these cards willy-nilly, bad stuff can happen. And Tai's just like, okay, I get it.
Please stop choking me.
Please let me have your effing chokehold, old man. So yeah, they're like... he like gives this explanation and stuff. Like I kind of want to like examine the wall behind him, but like it didn't seem like there's like anything too noble in like the pictures. It's just like like evolutionary trees and like just random imagery basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they like go back to Myotismon's castle with the cards, and they're just like, okay, one of these cards is a fake, and the other ones are like very specific Digimon that we've seen before. And like they get to the castle and they're just like, okay, like how do we like organize these cards? Is it like is it like big, medium, small, or like Joe just looks at the cards and Joe specifically says, oh, maybe it's in training rookies and champions. Even though it's like rookies, champions, and ultimates. And it's like, I thought it was like weird at first, but nah, they're just like specifically screwing up. Like someone just somewhere in the localization department just like got the translation wrong. Cause like later on, like Izzy's just like, oh yeah, they're like classified into in training champions and like rookies. And it's like, okay, this isn't just a Joe thing. This is like they just screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like, how do we like figure this out? There's like no way, and the group's just like, all right, well, Ty, you like do something, like you make the call because you're the leader, right? And I'm pretty sure it's like the first time they verbally like acknowledge that Ty's like the head of the group.
Yeah. As far as the screw up goes, they're probably just this is like the first time they've dealt with Digimon as a series because it's new.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they might screw up.
They've like
evolutionary stages.
Yeah. I don't believe I don't remember if they've like actually translated the like names and stuff for like the forms when they appear, But like if they did, then those would have definitely had like champions, rookies, like ultimates, whatever their rank is on there.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, they changed the names of the evolutions, anyways.
Yeah.
Like some for like ultimate is like perfect or some crap.
Yeah, then Mega's like ultimate in Japanese or something. But like I guess that's kind of like a different thing, I think. Cause well, I guess like there's still like rookies like child and champions like adult or whatever. Yeah, but whatever. Like, it's fair enough, I guess. But yeah, so like the dub actually skips over something that the sub brings up at this point. Just like something I really wish they kept, where like everyone just says they're like, about Ty helping the man and stuff, and like, Mimi looks like she's about to cry, and like in the sub she's just like, oh yeah, I used to be like a big crybaby, but now I've become stronger, so like, like I'll have faith in whatever you decide, Ty, and stuff like that. And it's like, it's so like cathartic to just have them like admit like, oh yeah, this was a problem. And now character development has happened.
Yeah, it's pretty good that Mimi admits that she sucks.
Yeah. So yeah, like Izzy just goes on, it's like, okay, the lion, centaur, and the monkey on this thing represents like data, virus, and vaccine. And the stars represent rookies, like in training rookies and champions. And he like says like data, virus, and vaccine, like every single one of them is wrong.
Is it?
Yeah, cause like he says that like Leomon's data and like Centauromon's virus, and that like Enema of all things is vaccine.
Okay, yeah, that's extremely wrong. For a second, I thought Leomon was data, but he's not. He's totally not.
Yeah, he's like, he's like a good Digimon, quote unquote.
Well, data types can be good Digimon.
Yeah, but, you know, like, he's, like, you know, quote-unquote, like, heroic, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. Like, his alignment is not as neutral, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Izzy gets, like, both, like, columns wrong, but, like, puts them in the right order anyways after mislisting them. And they
Yeah,
still get... Yeah.
that's just a translation error.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But yeah, everyone's like, oh, yeah, good job, Izzy. There's, like, aplomb and stuff, and... Yeah, I kind of like the detail. It's like, oh, yeah, Ty, what do we do? And he's like, alright, Izzy, you're smart. What do we do? So yeah, then the group gets, like, attacked by Nokunamon, and there's like, oh, but there's still that fate card, like, you know, which one's, like, the real? Is it, like, Agumon or Gomamon? And, you know, Tai just makes, like, his quick judgment call, and they, like, get out of there is, like, where Garurumon just, like, breaks the castle apart. Like, he basically cuts it in half. So yeah, this like escape to the real world, and it's just like, oh hey, we finally made it. And it's like, yeah, there's some weird stuff in there, but it's like honestly, like you know, I kind of like at least dig how the puzzle is used to like get that exposition across about like attributes and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's just a shame they messed it up in almost every aspect.
Yeah. Like the translation is not great. But yeah, like yeah, there's like some stakes and stuff. Like Dokuamon gets to do their things. Like the tower's coming down, you know. Like just solid, I think, really. So yeah, I think episode 29. Oh, but so like, just I was watching the dub and it's like, all right, 28. You know, like yeah, that's good. You know, there's like the puzzle was like kind of dumb, but you know, there are like stakes. There's like interesting stuff happening. And then we get to the real world. And it's like, oh boy, this took a turn.
Now for the fun episodes.
Yeah. Like, yeah, just like no spoiler, but like, you know, I didn't really care much for these. It's like, oh, what a surprise. Take Digimon out of like the fun environment with all the crazy stuff, and suddenly it's like not as entertaining. But yeah, like
there's some stupid crap to laugh at.
yeah. So kids just like randomly find their teacher, I guess. And there's like, oh hey, we need to get to the city. And he's like, hey, what are those monsters you have with you? Or just like, oh, these are just those like, yo, those famous plushies that look like real animals and also just stand and walk on their own, I guess.
Yeah, just don't worry about it.
It's just like, okay, I guess that's fine then. And you just look over there, it's like, hey guys, we can't let adults know that our Digimon can talk, otherwise. And that's why we can't let them know our Digimon can talk.
I mean, real living monsters will just cause panic in general, probably.
Like, I mean, honestly, what do I think will happen?
People freak out over the existence of real life monsters.
It's like, oh hey, this person's like plushy said a thing. And like, you know, they treat it as if it's like the end of the world or something. There's like, oh my gosh, people are gonna be like, oh hey, this thing can talk. And then I guess that's a problem somehow. I don't know, if people know like my plant can talk, they might have questions. And then I guess that's somehow a bad thing.
They call in the government to take it away
What? Yeah,
because it's a
I
real.
never got that because I was like, why did it go straight to the government? It's like, oh yeah, this is my pet.
Because
Like, yeah, okay.
Because it's not a pet; it's a monster.
Like, some pets are monsters, dang it.
Pets aren't dinosaurs. Like,
If you have a pet
monsters.
tarantula, you're owning a monster.
This isn't the same. This isn't the same at all.
Like, I imagine if it's like, someone was like, just walked into a subway and they have like a new species of lizard, and they're just like, oh, this is my pet. I feel like the government won't be able to just take that away from you, right?
This is beyond. This is beyond some random person owning a lizard nobody's seen before. This is the issue of a kid showing up with a walking, talking, fire-breathing dinosaur.
Like, if you have a talking dog, I feel like the government won't be able to just, like, come in and just be like, oh, hey, we're just gonna take that dog from you.
A talking dog isn't a potential threat to people.
But, like, people don't know they're a threat as long as they don't use their powers. Yeah, so, like, they sort of get on the bus and they're just like, oh boy, we sure do want to go to this city. And the teacher's like, alright, I guess you can go then. Just meanwhile, effing Myotismon is just like standing on like a random building. And he's just like, oh my gosh, the sun hurts.
Yeah.
And he's just
Makes
like,
sense.
yeah.
Vampire Digimon's like, screw the sun.
He's just straight up running vampire.exe right now. Like, there's no reason this should, like, be a threat to him, but it just is.
He's a vampire Digimon.
He just has all the weaknesses just for the sake of it. Even though he's, like, Data.
But he's the data of a vampire.
Yeah, it's, like, super weird.
If he's programmed to be a vampire, then of course he has those weaknesses.
Like, the weirdest part is that, like, in the sub, he specifically is like, I don't know what that ball of light is, but I need to retreat into the realm of darkness until it leaves. And they just, like, hides out in, like, a little, like, effing, like, underground parkway, basically. That's just, like, their new base of operations. Just an effing, like, parking unit where he's just gauze, like, Digimon around, just scheming their evil plans. So, yeah, so, like, effing Myotismon is just like, alright, I can't go out because of the sun. So, like, everyone else, I guess you just take this or something. So yeah, meanwhile, like, back to the kids, and, like, Biomon's like, oh, hey, are all those kids Sora's too? And Sora's just like, oh, no, they're not. And that's a scene. So, like, Joe's just like, oh, hey, I'll watch over the rest of the group so we can go to that city. And they're just like, okay, good. Next scene. So, like, my Osmon's just randomly like, oh yeah, I just, like, have all these copies of the 8th Child's crest for no reason. And, like, they'll just pick up their signal or whatever. So, like, I'll keep the real one with me. Everyone else just, like, go out and just search for that kid. And just walk around in, like, broad daylight doing monster stuff, basically.
Well, Myotismon doesn't care. He doesn't care if the general public is alerted to the existence of real monsters.
Yeah. Yeah, this leads to a bunch of really weird scenes, including, like, one that I actually kind of love. Where it's just this, like, random little moment where it's like Galmon's just like searching out like a baseball game to find the eighth child, and like an actual dog tries to attack her. So she just like jumps up off a fence, just like swats him with her tail and just runs off. It just gives this little look, just like just like take that, you stupid dog.
Yeah, it makes sense that she'd hate dogs.
This cat. It's like, oh, it's such just a random dumb scene. But it's like probably the most enjoyment I've got of this episode for the most part.
Also, I guess Myotismon just used the copy-paste function on the Kari's crest.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, because, like, Devimon could control the black gears, and we didn't know how he could do it, but it's like, that was his one thing, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's got the black gears, and that's why he's, like, a big deal. And, like, I'm not, like, the Dark Network, but, like, we kind of got some details about how that worked and stuff, and that was, like, his one real thing. Like, Myotismon just keeps pulling out all these different, like, you know, elements to him just completely out of nowhere. And it's just like, oh, it's just this castle that warps space, and, like, you know, he knows these ancient, like, chants to get this card puzzle to work, and he has, like, all these, like, you know, crests that belong to the eighth child, and, you know, he knows where they are, and, like, all this stuff, and it's just, like, I guess it's, like, it's honestly fine enough, but it's, like, you know, yeah, just, like, pulling out, like, a lot of random bullcrap to try and, like, build him up as a threat, as opposed to, like, you know, letting just his, like, powers and ability and stuff, like, kind of stand on their own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least that's kind of, like, you know, my kind of problem with it right now, I think.
Myotismon's talented.
Yeah, he just has, like, all the plot MacGuffins he needs just for the sake of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so, like, meanwhile, like, effing Mammothmon just shows up and starts, like, rampaging around. And, like, for some reason, the dub Mammothmon's just making, like, weird robot noises. It's like, wait, but why? It's an elephant. Why is it making Terminator sounds?
Just don't think about it too much.
Yeah, it's like, Galvan specifically says, like, oh, why did he choose to bring that thing along? And it's like, wait a minute, but Galvan, you're the one who brought Mammothmon. You're the one who picked out these guys.
Which probably means, like, in general. But yeah, Garamon could have just not picked Mammothmon to come with her.
Yeah, like, and the sub-Galmon says, like, I should have never taken Mammothmon with me. He's way too violent.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
It's like, oh my gosh. Like, I kind of wish there's, like, more going on with this episode right now, just to distract me from all this weird bull crap.
They're setting up Myotismon and Garamon at the same time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, side note, I'm probably just gonna, like, say this is, like, Star of the Myotismon arc. Cause, like, he's kinda, yeah.
I mean, it was basically the Myotismon arc as soon as he became relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, like, the way I'm kind of imagining this is, like, you know, before it's like, oh, there's a good stretch of episodes where it's like, you know, Devimon's the bad guy, and now we're in the real world and Myotismon's the real bad guy.
Yeah, but
so,
I mean,
like,
Devimon always worked for Myotismon anyways. So.
Yeah, he just wasn't really, like, appearing or anything. Like, Devimon was just, like, stealing the show, basically. For, like, a good bit, honestly. But, yeah. So, like, there's this, like, weird bit where, like, yo, the kids are just like, oh, we have to fight Mammothmon. And it's, like... So, like, the only way I really explain this is to, like, go from the sub. Because in the sub, they're just straight up like, oh yeah, like, we all used to live in this place, and there is a terrorist bombing attack. And, like, that's why we left. And it's, like, they eventually realized, like, oh, yeah, no, like, there were monsters there, and, like, it wasn't terrorists, it was, like, Greymon was fighting a Parrotmon, and that's what happened.
Watch the movie to find out more.
Yeah. That's, like, the weird thing, because, like, I saw the movie, like, so many times now, but I've, like, never seen this episode. So I just always assumed it was, like, a movie-only thing.
No,
And that's just like, oh no, this is like canon, and they're like addressing it. But it's like in the dub, for like fear. Yeah, sorry, what?
I said, yeah, no, this happened.
Yeah. But yeah, like in the dub for like fairly obvious reasons, like they don't want kids to like, know what the heck a terrorist bombing attack is. So, like, they just cut that info out. So it's just a lot of, like, back and forth about, like, wait, something happened here, right? Oh, like, was it monsters? Wait, I remember now, it was the monsters, but, like, no, it was here, wasn't it? And just, like, a bunch of getting nowhere. It just completely throws off the, like, episode, basically.
Right.
Yeah, so, like... Jeez, yeah.
I don't know why they felt the need to not talk about it. Kid doesn't know what a terrorist is. They might ask what it is, like, ask their parents or whatever, but...
Yeah, I think that was, like, the concern that, like, they'd ask the parents, like, hey, mommy, what's a terrorist? And they'd have to get, like, angry phone calls over it.
I mean, it's not something worth sitting in angry phone calls over.
Like, keep in mind, this is, like, back before 9/11.
Sure, but the parents just be like, oh, a terrorist is, like a bad person.
Yeah, they're a bad guy. It's probably, like, a good explanation, honestly. Just, like, straight up, oh, they're just a bad person who does bad things.
Yeah, you don't have to go into, like, major details or overly explain it. They're kids.
Like, honestly, like, I don't know what, like, all goes into, like, the localization, like, dubbing and stuff. But it'd be nice if they could at least, like, come up with, like, an alternate explanation so there's at least, like, something to fill that, Like, oh yeah, gas line exploded or something. Or like, oh, like, this caused the bridge to collapse or something, Like, I don't know, I feel like there's probably some way around that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
any number of things could have explained it. An earthquake, a fire.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
But yeah, it makes way more sense because they're, like, watching the fight. And, like, Bergman specifically, like, blowing up, like, buses and, like, like, park benches and stuff. And they're just watching it, it's, like, cutting between that and, like, the explosions. And it's like, oh, okay, so this is why people thought it was, like, a bombing. Because, like, when these things fight, it looks like effing explosions everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, alright, that makes more sense now. But yeah, like... so far, going back to the real world just feels like a weird step down, but I can at least appreciate, like, the attempt, right?
Yeah. Well... Digimon always ends up in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this is the first series, but still.
Yeah. Like, that's kind of the thing now.
Yeah. It ultimately always ends up with the threat has moved to the real world.
Yeah. We have, like things have actual stakes now, because it's not just data.
Yeah. I mean, there's still stakes, anyways. Digital world is a real place.
Yeah, now people can throw in characters' parents and burn down the school and stuff.
Yeah.
And Garudamon can just hog ride upping Mammothmon through the streets of Japan. So yeah, that was that episode. I don't know, I feel like my thoughts are pretty clear. So, episode 30, this is, the last one, thankfully. So yeah, like, the gang's just kind of, like, going around, and there's like, oh hey, we should get to this place. And, like, they just happen across effing Boltmon in a trench coat. And we see effing, like, clips of, like, Wizardmon doing, like, party tricks and stuff. And just other various, like, bad Digimon kind of, like, trying to blend in and find the child.
At least Wizardmon's kind of human looking.
Yeah.
He could get away with it.
It's like, oh, it's like a weirdo in, like, a costume. Alright, fine.
Yeah, he's a magician dressed up like a wizard. It's a shtick.
But yeah, they're just like, okay, we need to, like, get to this, like, specific city. So we need to ride the Japanese subways. And just go to the subway station, and there's all this clear digital code on the wall. Because they're in Japan. So of course there is. Oh, that must be, like, so confusing for the kids out there. Because, like, if you're straight up like, oh yeah, this language is digital code, and you see it just in the subway, then that must be so weird.
Yeah, because it's like, why is there digital code in the real world?
Yeah, what madness is this? Wait, what's this kanji nonsense? That's some kind of language or something? But yeah, so, like, let's get to the subway. Koromon and Sunamon nearly die. Because they just jump onto the subway tracks for no reason.
Well, they don't know any better.
Yeah. And we get all these, like, yo, just, like, I would like to, like, really just be down on shows for doing, like, you know, tropes I know. But, like, yeah, these are some, like, tired, just, like, yo, oh, the monsters in the real world now tropes, right?
Are they tired for the time, or is it just because it's become a thing?
I honestly don't know. But it's like, it did, like, you know, affect my enjoyment a bit, just knowing, like, you know, oh, they're getting on the subway, and oh, okay, now they're gonna cause a scene, and oh, the monster's gonna reveal they're a monster, but we gotta cover it up. Because this, like, terrifying, horrible baby just keeps jerking off Yokomon's stamina. So it's like, oh no, Yokomon said a thing, and we got, like, it's ventriloquism, see, guys? Just get it at the department store, ha ha ha.
Buy our toys.
Buy more toys. Like, the only way this whole, like, the keeping the Digimon secret kind of makes sense to me is, like, are the covering that's like, these kids are Japanese. They don't want to stand out because it's Japan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing. People tend to keep themselves.
And, like, I honestly don't know how much of that is, like, intentional or not. But it's like, that's probably like, the best explanation I really have for this right now. But yeah, so, like, they get on the subway, it's just like, oh, hey, more of what's gonna happen when we're on a subway and we have to go off at, like, a specific line. Oh no, everyone's falling asleep all of a sudden. And, like, all the monsters don't wake the kids, so they go who knows where on the subway. And it's just like, yeah, alright. I've seen this so many times before. Like, I really don't like being, like, hard on things for stuff like that, but it's like, oh man. This is in, like, everything, though. Like, it's in every single subway scene. Yeah.
I don't know what to say. It's just
Yeah.
It's just a thing.
It's just a thing. There's not really anything to say, I guess. Like, I mean, it is what it is, and
ultimately what I'm getting at is just, it's not that big of a deal.
It's really not. But, like, this is, like, a very subjective, like, like, personal thing, I guess. Where it's
Yeah.
just like, oh man, I'm just sort of tired of, like, seeing this type of scene. But yeah, so, like, they get to, like, the wrong stop, and there's, like, oh no, well, now we have to get food, and they, like, use up all their food money. And, like, Joe finds them, and he's like, well, dang it, I'm just gonna use up all my food money, too, so screw you guys. So they're just like, alright, now we have to, like, hitchhike, I guess. And, like, this is, like, where we have, like, some of the best gags in the episode, but at the same time, like, all of them are cut in the dub.
Yeah, of course.
Because, like, they have to hitchhike and, like, like, Izzy and, like, George trying to, like, get attention. They're just, like, not doing it good, so they just, like, start going crazy. And it, like, doesn't quite work either. And, like, Matt tries to, like, thumb a ride. And, like, he's just, like, super, like, embarrassed about it. And this, like, this, like, hot model in, like, a convertible just, like, stops for them. And she's just like, oh, come on in, big boy. Like, what does she exactly say? God, I know I, like, link this. Alright, yeah, come on in, little boy. And, like, Matt's just like,
That's like, I don't know about this.
Yeah. Yeah, he just, like, lets it go, and everyone's like, wait, what are you doing, Matt? And he's, like, clearly just blushing super hard. He's just like, there wasn't enough room for us, okay? Yeah, they eventually, like, do manage to, like, get a ride, because they send, like, Mimi and Sora out. And there's like, okay, yeah, girls are just, like, way better at this than we are.
Yeah, because they attract the wrong kind of people.
Yeah, they attract Sora's cousin, who's totally Sora's cousin and nothing else.
Yeah.
But, like, as soon as they said that, it's just like, okay, yeah, this is the dub only.
Yeah. And I understand why they cut those scenes, because it's weird. It's honestly really weird.
Yeah. Like, it's super understandable. It's like, they don't want kids to be like, oh, hey, just get in cars with strangers, like, take candy from them, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he just specifically gives them candy, they start feeding it to their Digimon.
I mean, they probably could have kept the mat, like, except for the weird implications of an older woman picking up a young boy. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
otherwise he refuses a ride from a stranger ultimately.
But he's trying to hitchhike.
I know.
Oh, man. But yeah, so, like, they just, like, take this ride with him, and he's, like, playing the music too loud and just being, like, a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, thankfully he doesn't try anything, but, like, in the sub they specifically mention, I don't think this car's going where we want it to. And it's like, oh, okay.
Shouldn't raise any red flags, not at all.
Yeah. But yeah, like, Koromon just poops in the back seat.
Yeah,
And, like,
he's got a
Sword
stomachache or
tries to
something.
cover it up. Sorry, what was that?
I just saying because he's got like a stomach ache or something.
Yeah. Like, it's a weird, because, like, we've seen this from Koromon before, where it's like, just eats a bunch, and he's just like, oh no, I suddenly have to poo, and he just barely makes it. Because, like, that was with the, like, other episode in the real world, too, where it's like, they're meeting Kairi, right?
Did that happen in that episode?
Yeah, where he, like, eats a bunch of watermelon, and it's like, oh no, I gotta go, and he just barely makes it.
Huh.
And it's like,
Yeah,
alright, I guess that's just a Koromon thing.
It's just how Digimon are.
Yeah, it's just part of his personality. It's like a character quirk at this point. Because it's like, it's only Koromon too. But yeah. So Source Cousin just like... Source Cousin's just like, oh hey, did you crap in my car, you little twerp? And he just like accidentally throws Izzy off a bridge.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
It's like, if these kids didn't have like magical pet monsters, you would be so screwed right now, man.
Whoops, killed a kid.
Time
to kill the
some
others so
sketchy
there's no witnesses.
crap. Man, then like Gessamon just randomly attacks and like Akakumon just defeats it no problem basically, and the kids just slip away. And like nothing was really gained and nothing was learned. Just like, nah, it's just we have to get this town stuff out of the way. Gotta do all the like city gags.
We're in the real world now, so things are wacky.
Gotta do the real world gags. You gotta like just like hit all the major benchmarks, you know. Gotta like fall asleep on the subway and just like run out of money and just all that stuff. All the things you just love to see kids do. Like subway planning. Boy, isn't that some quality entertainment.
It's not about the subway, it's about the fact that they're, like, I don't know. They gotta figure out what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, as used to it as you, as used to it as you are, it's still, like, a first for Digimon. To be like, oh, the monsters are in the real world.
Yeah. And that's, like, honestly super fair. Like, I completely admit that, like, objectively it's just like, you know, oh yeah, there's, like, nothing really wrong with these gags. If I was sitting here, it's like, ah, man, I just don't care. But yeah. Like... That's sort of girl thing here, and like, I feel like I'm probably gonna read through all of it, but I was just trying to like get out my thoughts. And I feel like what I basically kind of came to was just like, the real world's like not that interesting, because of course it's not. And like, all the antagonists are now just like appearing at random basically. Cause like, yeah, there's not really any chance for him to like be running a goofy shop or something, you know? Like, they just show up because why wouldn't they? They've been in this place for like a day. They've got nothing going on. So like, we'd have episodes before where it's like, you know, like, Vedamon runs this like crazy curiosity shop where he like sells people's like souls and stuff. And you know, that's like, oh, it's like tells me something about Vedamon and like something about this world, and it's like, you know, it's like weird and like interesting and stuff, you know? And now it's just like, oh, Gessamon's just here. And like, there's the fight scene. And yeah, we beat Gessamon. Didn't really do much, we just took out random Digimon because we have to have an action scene.
Well, I mean, something's gotta happen.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they don't have... It's not the digital world. And,
yeah.
And like the episode before where Tai comes home for like an episode pretty much sets it up that that's what the real world's gonna be like.
Yeah, like, that was way more interesting though, because it's like, you know, they're like phasing in and out, you know, and then like Ogremon like waits on the street light and like, you know, it's like, I don't know, I guess I kind of want a bit more of that, like these Digimon sort of like digital logic sort of like playing a bit more of a role into things. But it's like they're all Myotismon's goons, so like why wouldn't they just go crazy? And it's just like, alright, I guess. Like, it makes sense. It's just like not as good as it could be, I feel like is a good way to explain it. Like, there has to be, like, some way they could have, like, worked around this to be, like, you know, like, I don't know, for example, like, maybe Myotismon's like, oh, we don't want to draw attention because the Digidestined are out there trying to stop us.
Well,
So, like,
that's.
yeah, maybe you could have had more things like Wizardmon being undercover and, like, doing crazy stuff like that, you know?
I mean, well, that's just what I assumed. Like, is the reason is they're trying to keep a low profile
Uh,
so that they're not like detected by the kids or whatever.
I don't know, like, I'm trying to, like, think here and, like, think of, like, good way to kind of, like, articulate things. Because just like, oh, if, like, you know, instead, like, we just heard, like, this rumor of Gessamon, like, attacking ships or something, we have to, like, fight him, then, like, that'd be so much more engaging than just them happening across him, right? Because it'd be like, oh, hey, there's, like, you know, something going on, and we have to, like, you know, solve this problem. Like, I feel like what I'm kind of getting is, like, there's kind of ways they could have taken around this that would
Well,
have, like, kind of worked better, I think.
well, some of the Digimon are just causing problems, and the kids are just trying to get home.
Yeah. And, like, we'll see going forward.
Or not home, but they're trying to get to Heighten Terrace or whatever.
Yeah, they're trying to, like, get to the place and, like, search around the area and stuff.
Yeah. So, like, things are just kind of happening. They're not out to fight Myotismon's minions. They're just trying to get to a location.
Yeah. Like, it's just so weird to, like, kind of, like, think about this, because it's like, you know, I've never, like, seen most of these episodes. Like, I do know, like, a few bits and pieces. Like, I know Gigadramon's a thing. I know what, like, happens with, like, Gaomon eventually. But, like, yeah, I don't really know how they're gonna handle the rest of this, because, like, if every single fizz just, like, a random Digimon appears and that's just the action scene of the episode, then I feel like that's going to kind of, like, get old pretty fast, I think.
No, it's just a certain bit where they're just trying to get somewhere. That's not going to be the norm. Like, Myotismon himself is going to, like, start doing more specific things or whatever.
Yeah. Like, that's sort of, like, one, like, you know, more interesting sort of, like, lead-ins to these encounters, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And, yeah. Honestly, I feel like that's, you know, really like it, you know?
Yeah.
Kids, like, yeah. I don't know, I feel like I've, like, made a point or whatever. Like, I feel like, you know, I've at least, like, have, like, you know, gone, like, what I'm thinking out there well enough to, like, you know, be understandable, right?
Yeah. My ultimate thing is that it's, like, ultimately it's a kid's show.
Yeah, ultimately it's a kid's show.
So, and all the kids want to see is the big monster fight.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they care about the story in some way, but they want to see the monsters attack each other.
Yeah. I'm just thinking it's like, if I was a kid watching this, like, sure, it'd be like, oh yeah, it's like the fun, that's cool and stuff. But I'd also want to, like, just see the monsters doing, like, goofy, crazy stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
But you'd be fine with it because they're fighting.
Oh yeah, like, but at the same time, it's like, you know, if I was a kid, I'd be fine with, like, a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And that's ultimately the point. Like, we like Digimon, but it's not for our age group.
Yeah. It's not like a perfect, like, you know, uncriticizable show, I should say.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, it's just sort of gonna happen, you know?
You just have to keep in mind that they're, like, the writers weren't trying to, like, clearly they were trying a little bit to write a story.
Yeah.
That's like a coherent, good story. But also it's directed at, like, 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
And we're 20 whatever.
Oh, man. Like, I sort of hate the idea of, like, you know, oh, it's just for kids, so we don't have to try, right? I'm not really saying that's, like, what's going on, but it's like, just that, like, idea, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like, it's not like they're not trying. That's the point I want to get across. Because like, look at Pokemon in comparison, and it's an episode by episode monster of the week thing, basically.
Yeah,
And that's fine on its own, but like,
mm,
the only story across Pokemon is Ash wants to get to the Pokemon League and he fights in the gyms. But other than that, you could watch any episode at any one time and you wouldn't be missing out on anything.
like, I get what you're saying with that last bit, but with, like, the first bit, it's just like, I don't know, because, like, Look Bad's just like, oh yeah, there's the episode where Ash just, like, finds a school of trainers, and it's like, oh, isn't that, like, a neat little thing, right?
Yeah.
And there's the one where it's like, oh, hey, here's, like, the, like, person who's, like, like, breeding Pokemon. They have, like, variations or whatever, and here's, like, the end of the giant Pokemon. And it's like,
But what I'm saying is they're
yeah.
not part of an overarching story. You could watch those any
Yeah,
time.
that's like a completely different thing from what I'm kind of getting at, I think. Because, like, what I'm kind of more specifically get is, like, this idea of, like, oh yeah, they're just wandering around, and, like, this thing randomly shows up, and it connects to nothing, really.
I mean, it's pretty much how the series is.
Well,
Watch the old Pokemon series.
Because I'm thinking back, and it's just like, there's usually like some narrative through line, it's usually not as much like, oh, we went to this island, and in the last 5 minutes, like, a Snorlax came out of nowhere, right? It's like, oh, this is the episode where we deal with the Snorlax, and that's, like, the conflict of that episode.
An episode can have a follow-up episode where they keep talking about whatever was relevant recently. But, like...
I'm not talking about follow-up episodes. I'm talking about, like, the self-contained narratives, right?
Yeah. I don't understand what you're trying to get at.
Like...
I'm talking about, like, Pokemon being a continuous, like, story.
Like, what I'm trying to get is, like, like, why does this encounter, like, exist? Like, what's the details around it? Like, how does it tie into this plot? Like...
It doesn't. It's just there to show the new Pokemon.
But that's, like, the plot of the episode, though. It's just like, oh, here's this plot about this new Pokemon. And that's, like, the story, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that, like, you can watch any of those episodes and they don't have anything to do, ultimately.
Yeah, they don't have anything to do with, like, each other, but they have stuff to do with, like, their own plot.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like, if you watch Digimon, if you watch, like the episode where Tai goes home, and you haven't seen any other episode, that doesn't mean anything to you.
Like, it doesn't, but I get, like, the narrative, where it's like, oh, hey, like, Tai wants to, like, stay home, but he has to leave. And, like, him leaving is, like, the conflict of that episode. Like, right? Like, I feel like that's a weird example, honestly. Because it's like...
What I'm getting at is that you could watch any episode of Pokemon, like almost any episode, because like I said, there's certain episodes that will continue off of another one, and it's its own self-contained story. And yes, episode per episode, Digimon does have self-contained stories, but in Pokemon, I caught the episode where Ash meets the weird Kangaskhan caveman kid.
Like, I understand the point you're making there, I think. Where it's like, yeah, Pokemon's like, episodic is like the word for it, I believe. Or like, at least mostly episodic, where it's like, oh yeah, this Kangaskhan kid doesn't have, like, jack all to do with the rest of the series. But it's like, it's still like, oh hey, here's the story, right? And it's just like, you start the episode, it's like, oh, there's a Kangaskhan kid. And, like, the big story is like, okay, let's deal with the Kangaskhan kid, and that's, like, the full narrative.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason for Kangaskhan to, like, get involved at the end of that episode. You know, it's not like, oh, hey, we're just, like, in a new place, and, like, a Kangaskhan comes out of nowhere at the last minute. Like, it's tied in.
It's to show the new Pokemon.
Yeah, it's, like, tied into the rest of the episode.
And then after that episode ends, you never see that kid ever again, as far as
Oh,
I know.
definitely. Like, I agree that's episodic, like, 100%. That's absolutely episodic.
Yeah, and then... and the Digimon, ultimately, like, even if an episode's kind of weird and whatever, it's still ultimately telling the overarching story of how they get to the point where they fight the big bad in the end.
Like, there's the overarching narrative, like, point A to point B, but there's still, like, you know, oh, hey, we need to, like, get into this castle, and, like, these are the things that are guarding the castle. And, like, the things guarding the castle is, like, the end thing to that, like, you know... It's like the conflict is built into, like, the episode's narrative, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Like, they're sort of like, okay, we need to, like, get these, like, tags and crests. So they, like, go out and, you know, it's like, okay, this thing's guarding the tags and crests. That's our conflict.
Yeah. But
like yeah.
But then it's like, why are they getting the tags and crests? It's so they can advance, they get stronger to fight the big bad in the end.
That's a completely different, like, thing from what I'm talking about, though. Because, like, I understand what you're saying, and, like, your point is valid. I just don't think it has anything really to do with what, like, I'm trying to get at here. Because, like, I'm talking about, like, how the conflict ties into the rest of the episode and stuff. Not just, like, you know, whether or not the series is episodic, I think.
I don't even remember what started this at this point.
It's, like, because I'm trying to, like, have explain why I'm just sitting here just, like, alright, like, Gesomon, like, attacking out of nowhere is kind of lame. Because, like, that could have been tied in, like, a more interesting way than just, you know, like, oh, they're just going around and, like, a bad Digimon just appears and they have to fight it.
I mean, it's not just there for no reason. I mean, Myotismon brought it with him to screw around with, I don't know.
Like, Myotismon brought him, but, like, him showing up is basically random, is what I'm trying to say. Like, that could have easily just not happened, and it would have, like, really affected nothing for the rest of the episode. Because, like, Gesomon has no bearing on, like, anything else in that plot.
True,
you know, like, opposed to, like, you know, like,
said,
Devimon's, like, you know, he's saying lies to TK, and, like, the conflict is like, okay, we have to beat Devimon because he's saying lies to TK. I don't know, like, hopefully I'm making sense here. Like, is this always, like, kind of, like, adding up a bit?
I don't know, man.
No.
I get it. You wanted more setup, but...
Yeah. I feel like that's basically it. Just, like, I just want a bit more setup than, like, none at all.
Yeah,
like, I know we have, like, the silhouettes of these guys just in the background every now and then, but, like, you know... It's like, it would have been nice if, like, you know, like, Gesomon was attacking the apartment complex or something, and that's why we have to, like, beat him on our way to the apartment complex.
Well, I mean, he's not attacking anything important, but, like...
Yeah, he just shows up.
But still, you just basically wanted him to be in their path, right? Well, he's in their path. He just doesn't happen to be attacking anything important.
Like, he just shows up out of nowhere. And Sarah just like, alright, but like, was being this guy mean for like any end goal really, other than we just beat a bad Digimon? That's not like, like Vedamon was like selling our character's soul and we had to like deal with that. It's like he's just there. So, like, and have we reached a conclusion here?
Sure.
I feel like we've kind of reached some conclusion at least. I kind of hate to like leave things off like this because I feel like this could go further, but like, I don't know. Like, any final thoughts, I guess?
No, not really.
Alright, so yeah. That's like it for this episode, I guess, and we'll just. I don't know, more Digimon later.
Yep. Later.
Later.